Now, I've experienced this both in the athletic world and in the business world, okay? And that is that it's always very important, my friends, to play your game, okay? To be on the offensive and to take your game to take your game to the actual game, okay? Now, what that means is, I'll just give you one example here. Like, I know from experience that when I'm just kind of sitting there in my life and okay, I'm just going through life and I don't have a clear-cut goal and I don't have, a clear-cut routine that I do on a daily basis, I open myself up to being hit from the left and from the right, in front and in back. I open myself up to being to failure. Okay, and when somebody is successful, they usually, I've never seen it any different. In this case, I'm not going to just say usually. They always have a plan. They always have a clear-cut vision of what they want, and they have a routine that they do, and they stick to it. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that, for example, in my life, when I'm really going good, I have a routine. I know what I want. I write down on a piece of paper. I put it up. I tape it next to wherever I'm working so I can see it all the time. And I have a routine. I go out in the morning. Now, I'm not telling you to do what I do, okay? Because every person is different. We all have different beliefs. We all have different ways of doing things. We all have different strengths and different deficits. But you have to find your way. You have to do the thing that makes you the best that you can be, the thing that makes you the best version of yourself. Now, I believe in God, so when I'm going good, I go out in the morning, and the first thing that I do is I go out in the morning and I pray. I go out for a run or I go out for a walk, and during that time I'm praying and I'm filling myself up and I'm getting stronger through that morning ritual. Okay? Now, whatever it is that you want to do, I encourage you, my friends, to do it, but you got to do it, okay? We want to win, okay? We want to win not just this next year, but we want to win in life. So I am encouraging you, if you're just getting started out, if you've been online for a while, if you're an intermediate, if you're an expert, whatever place you're in, I'm telling you that this being on the offensive and taking your game to the game of life is the thing that's going to give you victory. Because when you don't do that, when you don't have a clear-cut goal, and you don't have a routine, you open yourself to living a life where you're just reacting. Okay, if you don't have a clear-cut plan and you don't do your thing in the morning, and the phone rings and you hear a problem that you got to take care of, and then you take care of it, and then you go to your computer and you get an email and there's another problem that needs to be taken care of, and then you take care of that, and all life becomes is taking care of one problem after the next. Now, the opposite of that is what I formerly just spoke. When you have a routine, basically, a lot of times if the phone's ringing in the morning, or if you got emails in the morning that need to be dealt with, you say, I'm going to deal with those later because I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to go out and do my thing to get ready for this day and to be in the best state of mind. And then once I do that, it only usually takes 45 minutes to an hour just to go get rolling. And then once I'm there, then I have strength, and then I can deal with all the problems, and I can have my vision very clear in my mind. It's right in front of me, and then I go. I'm on the offensive. In other words, I'm taking my game to the game. I'm not going to just sit there and react to every problem and just make life into one big problem. I know what I want. I'm on the offensive, and I'm going to go for it each and every day. And believe me, it just, success doesn't happen in one day. You got to do that day after 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 day until you get to where you have to go. And then once you get to where you have to go, you set the next goal. And then you take your routine and you just day after day after day after day after day. Because I hear a lot of people, they just say, they just try stuff and they do it for a week or two, and they just think they're going to push buttons and make $1 million or make, a good living online, and it just doesn't happen that way, you guys. We have to take heart. We have to have a clear-cut vision. We have to have a plan. We have to have a routine. You watch anybody. I always go to sports. If you watch a really good I used to play college basketball. If you watch any really good free throw shooter who shoots, he's 98% from the line, they always have a routine. They'll do whatever they do every time before the shot. They'll dribble the ball 3 times. They'll squat their legs really quick, and then they'll shoot it. They always have their own certain routine. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do, my friends. We have to do that. I want you to be successful. I'm praying for your success. I'm starting to pray again for my team. And so when I start doing that, then these things start coming to my heart. Okay, so now here's another example to take it to the next level. This was a long time ago. John McEnroe. I don't know if some of you probably don't even know who John McEnroe is. John McEnroe was one of the greatest tennis players. And to this day, he's probably one of the greatest tennis players in history. Okay, when I was a little kid, I used to watch him play, and I noticed something about John McEnroe. Whenever John McEnroe was losing or things weren't going his way, oftentimes he would have some major temper tantrum. In other words, he was losing the match and his opponent was getting the best of him, and so all the focus was on his opponent. John McEnroe would have some temper tantrum. Now, I'm not recommending that you do temper tantrums as a way to be successful, but if that's what works for you, then so be it. But the point here is that he'd have his temper tantrum, and then I always noticed when I was a kid, after he'd have his temper tantrum, a lot of times things would start going his way. And I'm here to kind of say to you that I think that one of the reasons I realized that at a younger age that worked for him was because he took the focus off of his opponent, and then all of a sudden he's putting the focus on himself. Whether he knew he was doing that or not, he was breaking his opponent's rhythm. Now, I've experienced this numerous times in business. I've experienced it in athletics when I played basketball. It was always important to not let your opponent get into his rhythm, because if he got into his rhythm, he'd eat you up. He'd kill you, okay? So you always wanted to break your opponent's rhythm. And when I'm talking about John McEnroe, that's what he did. His opponent would be beating him, and so he would have this temper tantrum, and this temper tantrum would usually take a certain amount of time, and all of a sudden it would break the momentum that his opponent had. It would break the rhythm of his opponent, and oftentimes, that's as I said, he would then start dominating the match. It was really an odd thing to watch, but it's the truth. Now, the point that I'm making here is that John McEnroe, whether he knew it or what he was doing or not, he knew how to get on the offensive. He knew how to break his opponent. Oftentimes, our opponent in life is the world. It's just in spiritual forces that are trying to stop us, and we need to break that momentum by getting into our own thing, by going on the offensive like I formerly spoke here, and doing our thing and playing our game. And when he would have his temper tantrum, he'd break the momentum, and then he would start playing his game. He'd start taking his game to the forefront, and his opponent would kind of squash under that temper tantrum, and he'd start taking control. It was an interesting thing to watch. I'm not telling you to do what he did, but I'm making the point that, you guys, we have to be on the offensive, okay? We have to have a clear vision of what we want. We have to have a plan as to how to get it. And in that plan, we have to have a routine every day that we do, and nothing stops us from going through that routine, okay? We go out there in the morning, we do what we have to do to get into the best place so that we are the best that we can be. And then we take our plan to the game. We take our plan to our opponent, and we do that day after day after day after day after day after day, and then we start winning. So please understand what I'm saying. And if you don't understand it in the first time in watching this, then please watch it again. I'm just going to share with you John McEnroe here. This is one of his temper tantrums, just to illustrate what I was saying. You're not going to see how he played after the temper tantrum, but it's just kind of funny to watch. Watch this. It was hilarious to watch him.
No mistakes whatsoever. Second stop, please. Answer my question! The question, jerk! Code violation, verbal abuse, points, Mr. McEnroe.
Okay, I think you get the gist of it. I'm not encouraging you to be like him, but I'm just saying, I'm making the point that like he would do this type of thing, and then all of a sudden he would start winning because he took the focus off of his opponent, and he forced his way, his game to the match. And that's what I'm telling you to do, you guys. You're all gifted people. If you don't know that, then you need to look inside yourself and figure out what your gifts are. And you need to take what you have to the match to be victorious and be successful. Regardless of situation, you need to take what you are and what you have to the match and stop reacting to all the problems of life. You're going to face those problems of life in your manner, the way that you want to do it, by first getting to that place of strength every morning and getting in a routine and then dealing with the problems so that you can overcome them in a better manner. So that is it, my friends. Please, I hope you take this to heart and use it. I thank you. God bless.